What's up? We're back. It's Ball or Nothing.
Oh.
I'm your host, John Roberts, and with me, as always, are my two good friends, Jasper Grover and Edward Dunstan. I feel like I've got a bit of pep in my step. It must be this hour early that we're recording.
Or Geelong beating Melbourne.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, or a very excellent victory last week on Thursday night. We were just talking off air. We were talking about the Hall of Fame that was last night. But I want to open the show.
When we record.
Huh?
You're giving it away when we record.
Oh, of course.
People can.
But it comes out like an hour later. What are you talking about?
Well, they didn't know that. We could be recording days.
You really have never listened to an episode, eh?
No,
we were talking about the Hall of Fame. I wanted to bring up the Hall of Very Good, though. And if you're familiar with the NFL, you might know it because basically, all the Hall of Famers in the NFL, they have to have won a Super Bowl in order to get into the Hall of Fame. So there's this other tier below that everyone calls the Hall of Very Good. So it's players who have never won a premiership, but should probably be in the Hall of Fame. We did just talk about Tony Lockett. Jasper, did you have one?
Well, Tony Lockett's in the Hall of Fame is the problem.
Yeah, but he never won a premiership.
No. So
yeah, we've got different rules.
So you're saying they can be in the Hall of Fame, but then there's also the Hall of Very Good?
No, because if they're in the Hall of Fame, they're in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, so Tony Lockett's in the Hall of Fame.
Okay. And so
I've got a current player who's like...
Yeah, go. Current player.
Bruce.
He won premierships.
Yeah, but I'm saying he's not going to make the Hall of Fame.
Really? Do you think not?
No, I don't think so.
Trying to get Jasper to name a Hawthorn player who hasn't won a premiership is difficult. So
I could name almost like 20 that they're playing for us every week at the moment now.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Billy Brownless was a good one.
Billy Brownless, he's... Yeah, I mean, he may be in the Hall of Fame for like other reasons.
You know what, though? With the Hall of Fame... there was an article recently about a person whose Hall of Fame status was reneged, and I don't think it's worth bringing that person up.
No.
But it is interesting that it's like you can get in the Hall of Fame, but you can also leave the Hall of Fame. And it's, I guess, in this age of debates about cancel culture, I wonder, we have these people entering in. Do we think any of the recent inductees are going to be cancelled in the future for whatever reason? We don't have to speculate, but who's the most likely to get cancelled out of the recent?
Oh, it's got to be Jimmy Bartell if he keeps up this bullshit with Eddie Maguire show that he runs with him.
Oh, really?
Well, they do a show together, don't they?
Do they? I've got no idea what Jimmy Bartell gets up to these days.
Yeah, it's with Eddie Maguire, and it's like, man, Jimmy, I love you. What are you doing? Please stop doing that.
Is he like now a bit of a hot take merchant? Like,
going to be honest, I haven't listened to
Okay, but out of the rest of them, I think Jimmy Bartell is a good nomination. I think if anyone gave a microphone to Mark Williams these days, I reckon he could get cancelled. But that's why he's not in coaching position.
How legitimate do we want to get with these? Because there are already some Hall of Fame members who probably should be legend status, which is a separate status in the AFL Hall of Fame altogether, but haven't got there because of their dubious personal lives.
Is legend status like a tier below?
Oh, it's a tier above. It's like the top level that you can get.
Like S class.
Yeah. It's like these are above and beyond. Like,
yeah, man, I love when you have like the Hall of Fame, the most prestigious, glorious thing that you can be in. And it's like, oh no, but it's actually not. It's actually the legend.
There's one more level that you got to reach.
Yeah, and then there'll be so many legends that they'll.
I know. I was going to say, what is going to be above legend status? God's.
It's like this is a reference that is very up to date and everyone is going to understand. But it's like the episode of Frasier where they go to the spa retreat, and there's always another level of like famous or rich you can get, and they keep wanting to attain it, and then they eventually there's the platinum door that they want to go through, and they get thrown out, and it's in an alley. So there's, you don't want to go too high because you might end up on your ass.
Do you think? Okay, so we're thinking about all the AFL legends and Hall of Famers. Like, if there was to be one player elevated above legend status,
above legend status, so like AFL god, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Who is like the epitome of AFL and greatness.
Well, obviously, I need to get in any Joel Selwood / Tom Hawkins reference
Okay,
I
yeah.
can these days.
No, they're burning down in AFL hell.
That is not as a neutral as opposed to Jasper. I think Joel Selwood is not a bad nomination for above legend. That's
he's a legendary ducker. If you want
to.
Joel Selwood, Gary Ablett Jr.
Yeah,
Gary Ablett Senior. Now he might be revoked from
well,
the
so
Hall of
he
Fame.
is what
He
I
is
was
definitely
referring to. So he and Wayne Carey are both in the Hall of Fame, but neither of them are legend status, even though both of them are thought of as being possibly best players ever.
I think they should probably get rid of Wayne
this
Carey's
is what I was
Hall of
asking when
Fame.
we're saying how legitimate do we want to be with these cancellations of
Well, I mean, he's not in the Hall of Fame anymore. He's in the Hall of Shame. So
I don't think that's a thing that exists outside of your wall. Anymore.
It does now. Hall of Shame.
Yeah.
Taron Thomas is there.
Yes, exactly.
He's still playing, so it's probably not.
That's weird. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, speaking of, Marlon Pickett just got named for Friday night's game. Would he be in the Hall of Shame now?
Weird.
Or is there an instance where it's sort of like we don't have enough information yet, so maybe we can't.
Innocent until proven.
I'm not saying I didn't say innocent until proven guilty.
I'm saying that. I'm saying innocent until proven guilty. I think he should probably not be playing, but I'm not denigrating him to the Hall of Shame just yet.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair.
Yeah, it depends how much you agree with our presumption of innocence. So we'll let the legal scholars decide this one.
Is this the rule of the week? We're changing how the laws of
That's right,
actually given. It's not an AFL, it's a law.
All right, let's jump into the show. That was fantastic. What a great way to start. I only have a top 4 this week, though, because there was only 6 games. And to be honest, 3 of them were kind of like a bit naff.
Well, 2 of them are from the West Coast Sydney game, right? A lot of highlights to come out of that game.
No, but that one highlight, I got a long list of insights and stats. And I put them forth because I am, if you know me, you know I'm not a huge Sydney Swans supporter. In fact, I'm not at all. So I had, I wanted to congratulate the Eagles on drawing. They didn't get the 2 points, but they did draw with Isaac Heeney. That was great. So the Swans demolition job of the West Coast Eagles. Let me read off a number of numbers. That's a thing.
This is number wang.
And we'll go from there. So the first number is 205. This is from an article on AFL.com. If you'd like to go check it out. Sydney is the first team to kick a double century since Geelong's 186-point win over Melbourne in 2011. The pause is because I wasn't looking for a comment. I was actually I had to cough.
I quickly went did it, and then I was like, all right.
Sorry about that.
But I mean, it's interesting because that game, it's like everyone remembers that game where Geelong just absolutely mauled Melbourne at Cardinia Park, and
what a day!
It everyone remembers it. It's notorious in the AFL because it's just so rarely done in modern football. That kind of score.
There was a really fantastic Swamp tweet that I didn't jot down. Damn. And it was sort of like what have been the in a team's single season, what have been their biggest wins and their biggest losses? What's like the disparity in points? And I'm butchering it now because I don't have it in front of me, but it's good. Go check it out. Okay. 171. That is Sydney / South Melbourne's equal highest winning margin in club history, joining its round 12 19-19 victory over the Saints.
Jesus. What was the scoreline in that game?
The margin is also the 4th largest in AFL history. I love that the Saints, no matter which team you're talking about, they always show up in like one of these sections.
Worst team.
Well, yeah, especially from like the 1910s or whatever. It's always like St Kilda.
Yeah, well, it's that's a really interesting point because there was an article recently that looked at the overall what was it like kind of disparity between scores for and against over a club's entire history, and they compared how Carlton was so up, like their kind of goals for, goals against over their entire history, and then it's just gone rocketing down the last 20 years. Whereas Geelong's has gone up, and they were like, St Kilda fans, don't ever look at this stat because it makes for some very depressing reading. So, they've just been obviously, yeah, they're like the shit team in the AFL.
Tune in, Saints fans, for more good news.
Unfortunately, like, no offense to Saints fans, they know that they have a terrible history.
They know how shit they are.
Yeah, sorry, Jimmy. He's the only one I know.
Yeah.
164, Sydney's 3/4 time score. That's a new club record for them. 142, West Coast's previous largest losing margin in club history prior to Saturday. The Eagles lost to Essendon by 142 points in round 15, 1989. And the Swans eclipsed that by 29 points. 34, the second time West Coast has been held to 34 points by Sydney, the club's equal 13th lowest score.
Equal 13th? Oh, I would have said like 12th or maybe 14th. I don't know.
There you go. 18, the number of consecutive goals Sydney kicks between the second and fourth quarters. 14
goals. Great.
14, the number of losses by 100 or more points the Eagles have suffered. Just telling Siri to shut up. There's a couple more. Look, it goes on. It's a good read. I quite enjoyed, but the 5 goals for 34 was the Eagles' score. It was also what Isaac Heeney kicked in that game.
So my question for you guys after hearing those stats and thinking about that game is, so I feel like there's a certain point at which some matches you're like, oh, this isn't going to be very competitive, is it? And so you switch it off. But then there's actually, if a margin gets so big, you go like, oh, I actually kind of want to get
it's like watching a car crash.
What margin does it have to get to for you to actually switch a game back on because the margin is so big?
I would say like over 100.
Yeah,
like 100
once
points
it gets to
happens
100.
quite frequent. But like once it's like well over 100, like 110, then I'm like, oh, this doesn't happen that often. I got to see what this gets up to.
I remember there was 2 times in the maybe the last 20 years where Essendon has gotten beaten by Adelaide in Adelaide by like 130 or 140 points, and like when you're watching it, you're like, geez, they just keep scoring, don't they? Yeah, it's like we can't really do anything.
It's like, this is a real case study. This is interesting.
Yeah, it's
I might take some notes.
Beyond painful to be just more like a partial observer. So
not even mad.
While we're talking about this game, I'm just going to get in early this week, and it's time for the quiz. So in the numbers there that Johnny just rattled off, this was the fourth biggest loss of all time. Can we name the top 5? And one other is mentioned in those ones. That was
Melbourne. I've been watching these graphics all week and I can't remember any of them. They keep
Melbourne Geelong in 2011 or whatever it was.
That is correct. Yeah. 186 is the second most of all time.
The other ones start to go back a bit, don't they?
Yeah, so everything else is a long time ago.
I'm pretty sure 80s and stuff, right?
The first one,
80s, 90s.
The biggest margin ever is 190 points in 1979.
Oh, okay. I reckon Richmond would have won that game, or Carlton.
I reckon Saints would have lost that game.
It is 2 Melbourne teams, but no more. One of them is no more.
Oh, South Melbourne.
No.
Fitzroy.
Fitzroy. Lost. Okay. No, sorry. Fitzroy won this game.
And look at them now.
Their final score was 36 goals, 22 behinds, 6 goals, 12 behinds to the Demons.
Wow. These know how to lose.
Yeah. The Dees have also been at the end of a few.
Yeah, they've got a few doldrums in their history. So we know the fourth. We know the second. Can we guess the third? It happened in 1979 again. Interesting.
Wow.
Neither of the teams previously mentioned were in this game.
Okay. Carlton v Saints.
Oh, half right. Saints were on the losing end. They had 29 points. The final margin was 178. And
was it Geelong again?
No, the winning team was Collingwood this time.
Yeah, okay. Ouch. That's a hard one.
And then the fifth one was actually just mentioned in the numbers that you rattled off, Johnny. It's the Saints again. That was
the 1917 one I just mentioned, wasn't it? Yeah.
1919, yeah, the one that they lost to South Melbourne.
How much did they lose by again?
171, the same exact margin as West Coast Sydney, but it was 18 to 189.
Yeah.
To put it in perspective, so West Coast is the first side in history to lose 12 consecutive games by more than 40 points.
And what a fashion.
And
It
what a
is
what?
This what a fashion. This is like when Steph Curry broke the all-time record for threes in the season.
Mm.
He didn't just beat it; he absolutely smashed it. This is like
Oh,
them
wow.
going like, "You want 12 games of 40-point losses in a row? We're going to show you how to lose by like 170."
I will admit, I did not see any of the Sydney West Coast game.
No.
Oh man, I watched the whole thing. It was
Oh
beautiful.
my God, wow. It was I haven't watched because West Coast has been buried in like terrible time slots. I haven't watched a lot of their games. And so I just
You haven't been watching them later on
the
sponsor
Sunday
KO's
after.
service?
Yeah.
Just on a Monday night, catch up with 170-point drubbing.
Yeah, I just what about, was it obvious from the first minute this is exactly how the game was going to play, John? Or like what was your read initially? You
Yeah,
expected to get too high.
it's interesting because whenever I'm like looking at the betting odds, and if you don't like betting, skip over the next 2 minutes or minute. But it's like the margin seems to always be West Coast will lose by 50 points. Do you think they'll lose by more than 50 points or less than 50 points? It's the same this weekend. They've got the last game of the round and they're playing the Saints. Do you think that they'll lose by more than 50 points or less than 50 points? Like, would you be willing to put money on it? And every week I'm always like, oh man, but is this the game where they kind of get it together? And it's like, I think after this weekend, you can kind of put it to rest.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen for them. I was watching the game. It's funny because I'm not a fan of when teams beat up on the opponents, but when you're breaking records, I'm like, okay, this is fine. This is absolutely fine. But man, the level of effort from West Coast, from their vets, is it's pretty bad. There's a lot of just like can't even be bothered. A lot of don't even want to be there from what you can see on TV.
Yeah, wow. That's awful.
It's funny. It's like they can't forfeit halfway through a game, can they?
Well, I was going to say, as someone else who didn't watch the game, I can tell you that the quarter time score was West Coast 1-0-0 to Sydney 9-4. So
yeah,
an 8-goal margin at quarter time isn't a great sign that there's
So let me get this straight, Jasper. You were thinking they probably can't come back from here.
I was thinking I'd love to see them fight, but they might lose by 15 in the end.
Yeah. John, do you remember what the commentators are saying at quarter time? They go usually like,
oh, so that was one thing I forgot.
Yeah.
I actually do feel sorry for the commentators because they ran out of stuff. I think it was like Dermot Brereton and Jared Healy as well. And I think that they ran out of, and Mark Howard, I think they ran out of things to say by about quarter time. And it was just like by end of three-quarter time coming into the fourth quarter, it's just like, what else can you say? But by the time the fourth quarter came around, they were like, okay, we might actually start breaking some records. Let's look at it.
Yeah.
It's a bit like Richie Beno on a rained out test day. Just got to feel the air.
Yeah. Just keep talking.
But just quickly, so the Eagles have announced that they're sticking with Adam Simpson. Good call, bad call?
All I'll say is like, heard it before call, because Essendon says that all the time, and then they sack a coach like within 12 months, or 6 months or something. So
I think it's a good call. Why sack him now?
Yeah.
And two, like they're not going to get any better. This isn't like a situation that they fight back and they
keep their seasons alive.
Okay, I'll put this theory out there. Unless, what if they did actually sack him and they end up playing like a pretty decent team? Imagine if there's a few players who like can't say anything, which would make sense because there was a survey that just came out that said AFL players like have a strong sense that they can't say anything, their opinions. And so what if this is the senior players trying to say something by just like not being competitive at all? And so they are trying to get Adam Simpson sacked.
They're talking the wrong language then.
Yeah.
They needed to be doing something else because this is, if they want to earn a high paycheck, this isn't going to help them.
Well, because I was going to say, like, imagine you just be banging your head against the wall, like, I'm playing so bad, and somehow this coach just does not
Still
get
has
sacked.
a job.
I mean, it is crazy that he has a job. They've lost, what is it, like 38 out of the last like 40 games or something? That would be horrendous. Like,
Yeah, I just said they've lost
coach.
12 consecutive by more than 40 points. The other great one was the worst cumulative margin over an 8-game span. So 745 combined points was GWS in 2012 between round 10 and round 18. 746 is the Eagles right now between round 7 and round 15.
Okay, question for both of you, because your teams have both recently enough won a premiership.
Oh, thank you for that.
So, okay, because I was going to...
What's it like?
Yeah, just quick. But my question is, so look, as an Essendon supporter, if you told me in 2018 you're going to win, or let's say in 2023 you're going to win the premiership, then for several years after that, you're going to be literally the worst team possibly ever, I would be like, I'll take that. But would you guys?
You have taken that.
They could. I mean, like, we're not the worst team. We're just constantly mediocre. So it's like,
it depends by what metric you measure. Really, is it by when you last won a final or?
Anyway, no. But would you take a premiership? Say next year, and then forsake, because West Coast is probably going to be this bad for several years. So like maybe let's say 4 to 5 years being bottom or second bottom afterwards. Would you take a premiership next year?
I would, because nobody would see the Hawks winning premiership next year. So it would blow everyone's mind.
Yeah, but it's like then they would be the worst team for like 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, in 2008, we won the premiership and then we didn't make the finals next year, which isn't quite being the worst team, but having won the premiership the year before, it's very disappointing in all regards.
It's not that uncommon. Like
it was uncommon until then. Like they were the first team.
You're a trendsetter.
Yeah, I would take that. Like, it's all about winning.
That's actually not true. Brisbane didn't. They didn't win the premiership, did they?
No, 2004.
Yeah, no. Because I was going to say,
I would take. I'm the opposite, but I am aware that I'm in like the 1% of people here. I'd rather be competitive.
Yeah,
year in and year out.
It's all about winning a champ. Like the whole point is that you win a championship.
I hate when my team is really bad for a long time, though, and I mean like bottom of the league bad.
You know what? You are right now, John. You're like
But what if you win a premiership every 5 years, but you're bad for 4 of those years, like absolutely stinking every 4 years?
But that's not a thing where you pop up for a year and then you go away for 4 years.
What are we talking about here? We're not talking.
That's what I'm saying.
But I'm saying, like, we're talking hypotheticals here.
Yeah, but
okay. Yeah, obviously, hypothetically, I'd love to win a premiership every 5 years.
But
so, to what extent is it then? What would you accept?
If it was like you win one premiership and then you're going to be bad for the next 20 years. Like, well, not Essendon, but
there
like.
You go. Would you take my lot?
Think about Saints fans. They've lived their whole life without winning, like, a premiership. You think?
Yeah.
You think they wouldn't take this?
No, I'd rather be competitive every year.
Well, yeah, because your team has won fucking 4 premierships in the last.
No, but I'm saying even still.
Yeah, I reckon Saints would not just would they take that, they would be like, make it 10 years bad.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like you got no. This is like a rich people trying to.
No, I'm saying 20 years. Yeah.
No, but I'm saying that's very understandable from John, because like it's better to be.
Yeah, he's living up there in his high tower
because. Like teams
what are you talking about? You've won 4 premierships in the same time span.
We're nearly at 10 years since we last won a premiership.
Oh,
oh my god, we cannot get into
Okay. Let's move on.
We cannot get into oppression Olympics right now. Because we all know it's Eddie.
Okay. Real quick, number 3. It's about the Bombers anyway, sort of. It's about the Freos. Well, it's actually.
I thought I looked at it.
No, it's not. It's not about the Bombers. It's about their loss. But
just
real quick, is Caleb Serong a top 5 player in the league? Young player in the league.
I did see this. I can say 100% yes, because he's in my dream team and he constantly accumulates. And but on top of being a dream team player, I saw firsthand that he is an amazing player. He's like it's one of those ones where if he was in Victoria, everyone would be like, this guy's incredible. How have we not heard of him before? Like he's a super player. Absolutely.
Real quick, a real quick keep trade cut. Keep trade cut. Nick Dacos, Zach Butters, Caleb Serong. I think you're cutting Caleb Serong in that instance.
So is it Nick Dacos, Caleb Serong, and who else? Sorry?
Zach Butters.
Zach Butters. Oh. Okay, I'm going to...
Yeah, I mean, you can't go past Nick Dacos, really.
Yeah, I think I'm keeping Nick Dacos. I'm trading Zach Butters, and I'm cutting Caleb Serong.
I might do the opposite for Serong and Butters, possibly. I think I just like Serong a bit more.
Really? Okay, cool.
I think Serong's been better for longer.
Better for longer, yeah. Yeah, that's fair. Zach Butters has sort of really come about this season.
Yeah.
He's always been good, but I think Caleb Serong's been very good.
Yeah.
Basically since he came into the league.
We don't want to play FMK to follow that up.
Same order, I think. Oh, no,
same order. Yeah.
Dacos is a pretty boy. Oh yeah.
I always feel weird. Like I always feel bad. I always feel weird talking about footy players when it's like, man, they're like 20, 21, 22.
Yeah,
like,
I'm not even going to go there.
Basically, my age.
Critical.
Really. What do you mean?
Critical of them.
We're going to get cancelled in no time if we go there. So let's move on.
Ed, how was the performance from the Bombers from what you saw?
Oh, no. I want to talk about fucking very handsome, athletically strong. They're physically fit. They're of age. There's nothing wrong here.
Jasper, I'm about to mute you.
That's what your parents
Okay, I've just muted Jasper. Ed, how was the
game? Sorry, I seem to like reset my brain.
Yeah, sorry. All of that. Well, I'll give you a few key points. Okay, Jasper's back. Oh, hang on. How do I unmute you, Jasper?
There we go. I had to accept to be unmuted.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
I should have stayed muted. I should have gone on like a strike.
So the Dockers won by 32 points. They moved to 7-7. Sean Darcy was back from injury. It was good to have him back. He's obviously a key cog in their wheel. With Jackson playing really well, Caleb Serong played well, Andrew Brayshaw played really well. Not too many notes on the Bombers side. Zach Merritt and Nick Martin were the best performers for the Bombers.
As someone who watched this game and paid attention, I except for maybe the last quarter, which I turned off. Basically, we dominated the first 10 minutes of the game, and we should have been like further in front. We were just doing anything we wanted, and then from that point onwards,
yeah, we
could barely string several possessions together. And out of the center, they killed us. They absolutely killed us, and Sean Darcy was like huge in that. So I think we missed Sam Draper, but we also just had a shit game. It was easily our worst game that I've seen us play this year. It was just awful. Really poor performance. And I don't think we really looked any chance to win the game for like pretty much from maybe midway through the second onwards. So yeah, it was very depressing watch.
Makes Essendon's record coming off buys 1-8.
Great.
They're not unique in that regard. I think I don't know what the record is after this round, but before this round, there'd only been one. Like as I think was mentioned in last week's episode, there's only been one team that's won coming off the bye this year.
Yeah, and it was a team facing another team coming off the bye. Yeah. So it's 0-8, I think, for teams that are totally fresh. And there's something it's pretty wild
there. Yeah.
And they got your feedback, Ed, so that's great that they're going to take it on board and
review.
Not have 4 weeks of it's fucking stupid. Sorry, for all the children out there listening, but it's bloody stupid that they've got 4 weeks of.
You can say fucking, it's all right.
Oh, my ears.
True, yeah.
And just lastly, it was Michael Frederick's 50th game. He played a great game, and unfortunately, he didn't get carried off the field with both teams clapping him. Yeah. So. Maybe it is 100.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, very forgettable game. As with most of the weekend, aside from like one game, really.
Hey, let's get to it now. The Pies had 6 goals in a row to open up a 27-point lead at halftime. Adelaide made a third quarter turnaround, scoring 7 goals, and then Adelaide turned a 27-point halftime deficit into a 13-point three-quarter time lead, and then the Pies, in spectacular fashion, came back and won the game by a point, 2 points.
I can't believe this is not your number one moment of the game. This was a pretty fucking good game. I mean,
hey, did you see? Well, of course, Geelong's my number. No, like the order's actually around. This should be my number one. Yeah,
this should absolutely be the number. Like, this was such a good game. Like, it's not often, even when there is a big turnaround, like when a team comes back to grab the lead, doesn't necessarily make it a good game. It can just mean one team's playing shit, then the other team plays shit, and they swap around. But this time, it was fucking good from halftime, basically. Especially because, Adelaide caught fire, and it's always exciting to watch a team catch up. And then the fourth quarter was just awesome. They were going back and forth all quarter.
Check out. I can't find their last head-to-head record against each other.
It's got a very
so they played each other in round 7 or round 9. Maybe it was round 7. And that was a 2-point. That was when Pies went to Adelaide and again came back. They were down and they came back and won by 2 points or 1 point. And then last year when they played each other, same thing again. Pies down, come back and win 2 points. They've had some. Would you even go as far as to say this is a modern day rivalry starting to build?
This is what I was talking about. So there's a post on Reddit that I'll link in the very official group chat that we have for the podcast.
With our trusted news sources, Reddit.
I won't go through all the historic games, but going back to 93, they've had a lot of good games. So of the 49 games, 19 of theirs have been decided by single digits.
Wow, that's awesome.
Is this the best rivalry that no one knows about?
Yeah,
this is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Pies have been desperate to get a modern day rivalry out of Geelong, and we're just not about it. So maybe this could be it for them.
Yeah. 2 games this year, combined margin of 3 points.
Yeah.
Last year, they won by Pies won by 5 points. 2021, Pies won by 5 points.
Okay.
2017, Adelaide, and they both drew after Adelaide was down by 50 points.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
Okay. So is a rivalry. We've got the Q Clash, the Battle of the Bridge, the Showdown.
All right.
El Clasico between the Madrid and whatever it's called, Barcelona.
We're including other sports.
Yeah.
Just everywhere.
What is this rivalry? Because obviously we've got birds, like a crow and a magpie.
Crow, magpie. This is bird person off.
This is all right.
Maybe it's called flipping the bird off.
Oh,
I gotta make we're just talking about names of them. I thought we were talking about the quality of the rivalry itself. No, we're just
no. Like a new name.
Eddie wants a tagline
for the
crow pie. There's
hey, I like that. Eating crow pie.
Yeah,
that's what I said before, but you can.
No, it's funny. No, it's funny when I say it.
No, Jasper, I think you're onto something.
Yeah, no, your bit got edited out, Eddie. Nobody heard it.
It was those extra things I said afterwards that had to get edited. So
I was gonna complain about the Battle of the Bridge rivalry. That's not a rivalry, is it really? Sydney GWS.
Oh, I mean, it's the talk of the town in Sydney. You talk to anyone there, and they
go, "What GFL?"
Yeah, no, aerial ping pong. No, they go, they go. Origins maybe second, and then it's Battle of the Bridge.
They don't AFL as a whole is number 7th, but for some reason Battle of the Bridge is just number 1. They go nuts for it.
No, well, isn't that's a huge deal? Is that this is obviously going away, big segue, but the GWS is not going that great in terms of supporters, and also just they were complaining about not enough AFL funds to outreach in the community and connect with people, but there's an issue for another time. So.
But I'm just talking quality of their games. They can be heated a little bit, but it feels like a forced rivalry because they're
I actually completely disagree. Remember what about the games where they were in the finals together? They went to ANZ Stadium, another one at the SCG or something, and they were actually really intense games and big crowds too. So your words.
I will not eat my words. I spit them out. I say that it has that playoff that finals heated battle hasn't really churned into an extended rivalry, even though they are in the same city. It doesn't feel like there's the same kind of.
I'll put this there. So, okay, you're saying that about the Battle of the Bridge. What's your take on the Q clash?
Oh no, the Q clash is even worse. That's
I was gonna say
that's because the Suns have never been competitive.
Yeah, because
loves the Q clash and hates the Battle of the Bridge.
No, Q Clash is terrible as well because Gold Coast have been terrible for so long. So that's never going to be a thing. Whereas, like, I mean, maybe it's just a time thing because, like, the Adelaide and Port Adelaide, that's always been a good game. And so, same with Freo and West Coast.
That's what I love about Adelaide versus Port Adelaide. It doesn't matter who's on top of the ladder and the bottom of the ladder; they will always play competitively.
I'm going to challenge this because
no, I'll accept it. I do not accept
it. No, because I love the idea of the showdown. I think it's like there's so much build up and everything, but I'm not great with stats, but I'm pretty sure I heard in the last couple of years that historically showdowns are very rarely close games, except for the last 2 years.
Oh, really? Okay.
By quite a lot.
I believe that's true, actually.
And so everyone's like, "Oh my god, it doesn't matter who's on top." It's like, actually, it does. So
no, but here's where I will disagree with you.
But if these trends continue,
because it's not even about the score. It's like how. Like you get the whole town gets amped up for it is what the rivalry is about.
Yeah, it's the energy.
The supporters get like they're like, I want to fucking beat that other team, and like I want to fucking beat Geelong every time we play them because I fucking hate Geelong.
Yeah, I'm the same with the Hawks. That's why I'll never say that the Magpies are like a great rival of ours, no matter how good they are. Because it's like,
to it rather than just being in the same area.
I only care if I beat the Hawks. I don't care if I beat the Pies or lose the Pies. I just want to beat the Hawks.
Well, you guys should be on the rivalry development committee for GWS, Gold Coast, Sydney, and Brisbane.
All right, that's it. You're my rival now for disagreeing with me. I
had so many talking points in this game and we haven't touched on it at all. But I guess it doesn't really matter anymore. I was just going to say that what was really good from Pies Crows. Nick Dacos, 37 disposals, 15 contested possessions, 9 clearances, 9 score involvements, and one of the only goals in the fourth quarter, the last goals to seal the deal. Actually, there's a goal after that, but you know what I mean.
And it's the whole thing. Like some of the commentary coming out of that game is that the only knock on Nick Dacos is that he wasn't a super contested ball player or he wasn't inside midfielder, but he was that in this game, and he crushed it. It's so crazy. This guy's only in his second season, and he would easily be in the top, probably like maybe 10 players in the league now, or even top 5. I don't know. He's totally amazing. It's
definitely top 10.
Nuts. Yeah,
I do think Jordan Dawson had a better game than him though overall.
Jordan Dawson in his 100th game, 35 disposals, 12 tackles, 10 inside 50s, 665 meters gained, and 9 score involvements. Yeah, he played a great game.
Yeah, if you watch the game, he was ridiculous. He was just everywhere.
Yeah, he's featuring on the YouTube thumbnail template this week. So shout out Jordan Dawson. Nice. Congratulations.
Was
Jordan
he
Dawson.
robbed of a potential game-winning goal?
Well,
yes, I think so. And the AFL actually came out and said that he was as well. Yeah.
Which is why
he would have had to kick it very far.
What do they gain from admitting that? Just don't say anything about it.
Yeah, I know.
I get why it wasn't called because it's easy to miss. Like it was just a quick little fling around the corner. It wasn't like it didn't hold there or anything. So you can see why the umpire missed it, but they missed it, and it happens many times a game. Just like players miss kicks and whatever. But it was I would be uproarious if I was a Crows fan.
And check out this ridiculous stat to finish. Nick and Josh Dacos combined for 22 disposals in the opening quarter at 100% efficiency.
Not bad.
Crazy.
22 disposals, 100% efficiency. Those kids. They're going to be better than their dad, aren't they?
Yeah, probably.
I don't know. Like
at this rate, Nick Dacos definitely.
Nick Dacos may probably, but also there's a lot of emphasis placed on disposal numbers.
True. Yeah, but that's the modern game.
Yeah, but so I said Dawson had a better game than Dacos, but he had 2 less disposals.
Yeah,
but
You're talking eyeball. Yeah.
but he also had 27 kicks to Dacos's 24. Anyway, this is getting in the weeds
Are you,
about it.
are you
Dacos is gonna
saying?
be very good.
Are you saying, Jazz? You've got a new area of critique for Nick Dacos that he gets too many disposals.
Yes, yeah. I'm saying he needs to cut it down a little bit. Let the team have some success. Like, this is why Collingwood's so bad this year. Like, they're not even top of the ladder. So
yeah, exactly.
Are they not?
no, they may be.
I think they are.
Yeah, they are now,
Also,
actually.
there was an article. There's an article that
They
was
are.
like, should we start? Should we be getting worried about the Magpies? And it's like they're like 11-1. I reckon they're fine. Although they could be the Melbourne of last year, the team that goes great or like pretty good up until midway and then just drops off. So
Premierships aren't won in June.
tell you what, that is actually my tip for the second half of the year. Is it?
The Pies slide.
A little bit. Like
What?
Not hugely, but I don't think they've been that convincing the last several weeks. So that's my tip, my hot take.
Yeah. I mean, one of the 2 losses happened last week, or the week before now.
Yeah, and they just beat Adelaide, who've regularly been a 5-goal worst side
at the G as well.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but now that the bye weeks are over, this is sort of like the run home now, like towards the final series.
Yeah, we're in the last third of this season.
Comes and goes quick. So, Eddie, they've got the Suns, the Dogs, Fremantle, not in Perth. They play Port Adelaide. Oh, that'll be amazing. That's in Adelaide. Port Adelaide, Collingwood.
That'll be good.
Maybe a little grand final preview.
Yeah, possibly.
Lots of grand final previews this year.
Hey, there's going to be like 4 teams in the grand final. It's amazing. Then they play the Blues, the Hawks, Geelong, Brisbane, and then they finish with the Bombers.
Nice.
So
a few easy wins in there.
But a few good games.
They're making the top 4 for sure. I just think
they're definitely making the top 4.
But
you're saying like not like a St Kilda slide.
No,
they're still gonna be competitive.
Absolutely, they'll still be in the top 4. I just reckon like that and I'm not saying they will. I'm saying it's like if you wanted a hot take. Shout out to like Kane Corns or whoever's listening. If you wanted one, you're tipping the Collingwood to fall in the second half of the season. So that's it. My gift.
My number one, which as to Jasper's point, it probably shouldn't be number one, but let's go with it anyway. It's Chris Scott's 300th game. But no, it was Gary Rohan, 3-goal performance, and the Cats beating the Dees on Thursday night in Geelong, which I didn't really see coming, but it's kept our season alive, our finals hopes alive, so that's good. And as per a tweet that I was chatting with, I really enjoy these guys on Twitter. They're Americans watching the footy. Shout out at Americans Footy. Gary Rohan is now 18-2 in his career when he kicks at least 3 goals.
Wow.
It's not bad.
12-1 with Geelong. The stats were better, but he had the one loss came the other week, actually. So Gary Rohan, Reece Stanley, the key cogs in the Geelong Cats wheel to keep our season alive.
Jeremy Cameron who? Don't know.
Yeah, poor old Jezza. He looks like he's in high spirits, though. And we're going to have Patrick Dangerfield back this week, as well as, I believe, Sava is coming into the side for the grand final do-over a second time again. Let's hope the Swans can be a little bit competitive this time.
I thought he played with Port Adelaide with all the talk about him going there.
Okay, we're not going into this. This is just going to go down another tangent. I'm not interested. I'm not buying it. Hey, real quick. Tom Stewart, $1,000 fine for pushing over Jack Viney.
Yeah, he deserved it.
What?
He did. He knew what he was doing. Like, he saw that he was injured. Just, you don't need to do it in that exact moment. I got no problem with like players pushing each other over, but it was obvious that Viney was injured at that point. It wasn't like oh, sorry, I didn't see that you were injured at the time. Viney was like pretty clearly holding his shoulder.
After the Prestia thing last year or the year before, are we calling Tom Stewart a sniper yet?
Oh, he's a dirty dog.
A lot of people are calling him that. A lot of
sniper.
People. Fox Footy even went as far as to make an entire headline out of someone's tweet calling it a dog act. By the way, it's someone like one of us. It could have been me just sitting
Oh,
on the couch, just tweeting, and now we're making
God.
headlines out of it.
The headline should be sniping Tom, like peeping Tom. Yeah.
I was thinking cat act instead of dog act.
Oh,
that's clever. I like that.
Don't you feel like you would have to explain that headline?
Yeah.
Someone...
That's why I said it's like dog act. So I said, if I just said cat act, you'd be like, I don't get it. Cat act. That's what you have in brackets underneath, like dog act.
Like dog act, but different. Yeah.
He plays for the Cats.
37 players played the game who were premiership players. It's the most ever in a game. Most ever amount of premiership players playing in a one game.
Interesting.
That's a fun. It just reminds me of a fun stat that no two premiership sides have ever been identical. There's never been like even with
the
all
same number.
Yeah, no. Just like even with all the back-to-backs or back-to-back-to-backs or whatever, there's never been one team that has remained entirely the same in two premiership years.
Yeah, interesting.
There's always at least one player different. Anyway.
So good for the Cats. I'm just going to have a quick look at their run home because we're sitting right there with just outside the 8 at the moment with, I think it's like Freo. Oh, wow, the Suns are there. Tigers are 2 points behind. It's going to be like a really competitive...
Suns before, so...
Yeah, that's one of our bad ones. But
you wouldn't want to lose to the Suns, especially by a lot. That would be embarrassing.
It's interesting because Cats, Suns, Freo, Tigers are sitting 9, 10, 11, 12. Obviously, they're not all getting in. And if they are, it means that some teams are going to have to jump out of the top 8. So we're looking at, like, which teams are we looking at jumping out of the top 8? Saints, Bombers?
What did we lock in like a few weeks ago when we locked in our top 8?
I think I said Saints and Bombers when they were much higher on the ladder.
I don't think we've been much higher than where we are now. We're 6th at the moment, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, you were 6th the other week as well. Cats have got a pretty good run at the moment. We've got Swans in Sydney, might be a bit difficult. And then we play North Melbourne, Essendon. Then we go up to Brisbane to play the Lions. Then we play Freo at Cardinia Park. We play Port Adelaide at Cardinia Park. Then we play, rematch against Collingwood. We finish with the Saints and then the Dogs. So it's not too bad of a run.
I would say you and the Tigers are more likely than Essendon to make the 8. Everyone's like, oh, they have the easiest run home. I'm like, I'm sorry. Do you, like, aside from us being against North Melbourne and West Coast again, which, like, we'll probably win those games. There's no game that I'm going
call here.
That's a lot.
Guys, all cocky. He's in the top 8. He gets all cocky about beating North and West Coast.
Yeah, that's true. I am getting ahead of myself here. We could lose to them as well, but everyone's like, you got the easiest draw. I'm like, we're against Port Adelaide.
Yeah, you really don't.
And then and Adelaide, and then we have some away trips, and then we're against Collingwood again. And GWS is not a pushover at all, and we play them over there, I think. So it's like, I don't think we have an easy draw on the way home at all.
I
think if we get there, we'll deserve to be there. But I would say I would be tipping
Geelong. If you get there, I guarantee you did not deserve to get
there. I can say,
unlike the Hawks, they deserve to be there.
They deserve to be there.
I can say absolutely that there's a couple of times that Essendon has made the 8 over the last 20 years where we have not really deserved to be there. So, yeah, you watch it. Sometimes you watch the 8th or 7th team in the finals, and you're like, this team is really shit and is going to get absolutely poleaxed. So
that was it, like 90 points. You guys got thrashed by Adelaide.
Yes, and we've been. That's not the only.
Which time?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
in the I think the time we were against West Coast and we were 8th as well was we didn't deserve to be in the finals. Like we had terrible. Anyway, long story short, I think Essendon's going to fall out of the 8. Geelong will take our spot. I reckon Saints will still be in there. I reckon Richmond will just miss out.
Oh, Ninthman. Are we calling Ninthman?
Yeah. I'm calling it.
I said this last week, and you guys said Richmond were going to make the 8.
Yeah, I still think that.
A lot changes in a week.
Least of the Bombers play, so they play Port Adelaide and Adelaide, but they're both in Melbourne. So they play at the MCG, and then they play at Marvel, and then they go down to Geelong to play Geelong, and then back to Marvel to play the Dogs. Could fall either way.
What of those 4 games you're like, Essendon's fucking going to win that? It's like, I would say we're at best 50-50 in them, but more likely Port Adelaide, we'll probably lose that and probably lose at Geelong as well. So this whole Essendon has an easy run home is complete bullshit. I call it.
And that was my top 4 moments of the round. It's good to have all the teams back. Eddie, we were talking just before off air about now you've got a solution here.
Yeah, well, obviously you talked about that horrendous display by West Coast earlier. I mean, look, we know that West Coast has some extenuating circumstances. They have a lot of players injured, and they got a lot of old players. They got terrible youth. Anyway, we know West Coast is shit, right?
They got a shit team.
Yeah, just generally a shit team. But I don't like watching teams get mauled by that too often. And I think that we would be very stupid to let this back into our game. And so I've devised a few different strategies for the AFL to minimize this happening. So firstly, we're all used to the idea of a goal being worth 6 points, right? But
I'm somewhat used to that idea, yeah.
I think
you may have heard.
We've experimented in the preseason with the 9-pointer, but what about this? Basically, once a team gets beyond 30 points in front, their goals are only worth 3 points. And then when they're over 60 points in front, their goals are only worth 1 point. So the team getting beaten, their goals are worth 9 points. And then once they're behind by 60 points, their goals are worth 12 points. So just kind of evening up the competition, the further the game gets apart, it comes back together. So
this is like some Mario Kart rubber banding going on.
Yeah, you get a bit of catch up. So what do we think?
I don't love the 30-point margin. I think that's going to be pushed out a bit further. 30 points isn't that extreme.
It's like margin. You rush it behind at 30 points so you can score a 9-pointer next.
No, not many teams come back from 30 points. There's not as many as you'd think.
Yeah.
Now this is like a case of like people who earn in like the top 1% of the world and they don't get taxed enough. This is like I feel like this is on that level. Like they would not support this because they don't want the better you are, the more you get taxed against you.
Yeah, this is a socialist system of football. So.
Yeah, I like it. I'm for it.
Yeah, great.
What about if like it's like if you get 30 points ahead, you like lose a player, or for every like 4 goals you move ahead, you start to like lose players on your team.
That's another one of my things. It's like it's not changing the whole thing too much, but at halftime, if the team's in front by 50 points, the other team can put their sub on without subbing someone off.
Nice. I like that. That's a good idea.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Get some young kids having a run.
19 players on the ground instead of 18. So
it would be interesting because there are so many players on the field that it would be interesting to see how much of an impact having one more player would be.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially when you're getting thrashed already. Are they going to be that positive of an influence? We shall find out.
And what would you do with the 666 rule? Would it have to be like a 667 rule, or
they can have a third man up in the ruck?
Yeah,
bring back third man up
just for that one team.
That's what you get is a second ruckman.
That might be a detriment to some teams.
So it's like
not a great position to have 2 of, let alone 1.
Well, Essendon learnt that on Saturday night with 2 lumbering ruckmen walking around. So.
Yeah, he came crashing back to earth.
He did, but it wasn't his fault. I think Andrew Phillips and Nick Bryan are 2 of like the same player, and anyway, very slow. But alas, we get back to our point of limiting thrashings. Okay, so if that doesn't work, this one I think you guys will love. It is going to incorporate some tech, and so
love tech.
Think about.
He's got to be working in coordination with like the cyborg umpires.
Yes, exactly. But okay, so we have the goals, right? And they're actually on a kind of I'm thinking like a conveyor belt type thing, like a some kind of thing that can like push them apart and closer together. And so it's like the further you get in front, the closer together your goals are, and so it becomes like thinner and thinner for you to kick a goal. Whereas for the opposition, they get further and further apart, so it's easier and easier to kick a goal.
This sounds like a really fun pub game, like where something that you like. I know you like you play with like your hands or something like that. I don't know about a professional $1 billion organization.
So it's like for the West Coast, their goals would be like the size of the 50-meter arc by the end of the day. So it's like, they just need to get it to the other end of the field and it's a goal. So whereas Sydney, we'd have to be getting it through a thing that's just the size of a football. So
how far apart do it? Because let's say 170-point thrashing. How far apart? Like, do they just have to like kick the ball anywhere out on the field in their forward half, and that's a goal by that point?
Maybe like it's quite large. Whereas Sydney, they literally have the space of a football to get the football through. So they'd be extremely virtually right in front of it to get a goal. So
I would love to see this game. I don't know how it would work, but I would love to see it.
Yeah, cool.
Eddie, I know I say this every week, but I love this idea. I think it's your best one yet.
Well, actually, I thought thinking about that, or if we could somehow get a tech thing rigged up at either end that's like
I love that it's a tech thing.
So, one of those tech guys to do the tech thing.
You start off with regular goals, but as your team gets further in front, it actually forms different shapes, and so it rearranges to it's up in the air and it's a triangle, and you have to get the ball through that instead. So it's like then it's quite difficult for the team that's very far in front, whereas the other team just has regular goals.
I'm going to say Harry Potter is going to be very good at this game.
Yes. Katie said this was turning it into, it eventually turns into kind of Quidditch style.
100%. This is becoming a bananas nonsense game.
No, there's been many times where I've said that like Quidditch is a rip-off of AFL footy.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like, imagine like how cool it would be to have like the goals do like a weird, shaping around thing, and eventually turning into like a different shape. So
I'm into it.
We've had the kind of rectangle, or like a side by side. What about something different, a bit more edgy?
What about different shaped goals?
Exactly.
I love this idea.
Yeah, that is it. That is all I have this week. So
another fantastic week as always, Ed. One of your best. Very much enjoyed that. A nice bounce back from last week.
Oh, cheers. Yeah.
Well, a backhanded compliment, right?
I know. I took that to heart last week. So
yeah, last week was shocking. What was it? Free kick count? It wasn't even that.
It was the buy round.
Yeah, buy rounds. That's right.
And playing games on the beach. I thought.
Hey, listen. All right, let's finish off with couple of the games that we're looking at this weekend. I got to say, there's not too many close ones. They all look to sort of be about 3 or 4 goals difference, except for Friday night, which is the grand final rematch. That's a 1.5 point favorites. I don't know why this is so close.
Yeah, why is this so close?
Because it's in Sydney.
Still.
I am very interested because I actually think this week has some cracking game or potentially cracking games. So many more than last week. I mean, Brisbane versus Richmond. Richmond has been a pretty decent team for several weeks now, and Brisbane is flaky as. And I reckon Bulldogs Freo. I reckon Suns Collingwood. Even Essendon Port could be good. And then Hawthorn. I would tip Hawthorn over Carlton. I reckon they
would be bananas.
Oh, I like that call.
Yeah,
it would be crazy.
I'm not with you though, but I see what you're saying.
I reckon there's lots of good games. There's also some shit ones.
So Thursday night is Tigers are going up to Brisbane to play the Lions.
Yeah.
I think that's why. So it's Lions are 3.5 goal favorites. The Lions don't have too many injuries at this stage. No. On their injury list is Nakai Cockatoo.
Oh my god!
Isn't he playing for Port Adelaide at the moment?
No, you are thinking.
Oh, I'm thinking of Quinton Narkle. Oh no,
yes, yeah.
I'm getting my ex-Geelong players mixed up. Okay, that makes more sense. It's all starting to add up in my mind. Now this is the game where Jack Gunston has decided to manage himself. Was it?
Jack Gunston and
Daniel
Daniel
Rich.
Yeah.
Yeah, what is that? Coach speak or player speak?
Well, we've had a discussion about this.
We have, yeah.
I'm not the most cynical person about this. I think it came up in a discussion with either the head coach or one of the coaches, and they said there was a frankness to the discussion, I'm guessing, and they realized that their form wasn't up to scratch, and they're like, well, let's do something about this. We're not going to get better playing games for some reason. Let's focus on just working out and getting match fit, and they'll come back later in the season. I don't know how long that's going to be. When do we reckon they're going to come back for selection? Is it like a 2-week thing?
I reckon we've seen Jack Gunston play his last game.
Whoa, that is...
Yeah, I think Daniel Rich will come back. I'm not sure about Gunston.
You are both bananas, not because I'm a Jack Gunston lover, but because, like...
he did sign a 2-year deal, so we'll see him again.
Fagan will love it. Fagan is like... I think Fagan likes experienced players over younger players.
Yeah, I think he'll play again. I think Daniel Rich will come back first though, because I think the defense is more of a need than the offense for
totally. Yeah, I mean, the Lions are like they have a good offense without him. So it's like
they
need to learn how to work together. And I reckon I don't know whether that happens this year or not. I'm sure he'll come back in because if they're in finals, they'll be like, oh, finals experience, bring Gunston back in or whatever. But
you know what? So the week after, next week they play the Eagles in Brisbane again, so they get another week off. So it won't be before that. But other than that loss to Hawthorn, I mean, they've put together a pretty good season. Lost to Adelaide in Adelaide. Yeah. Tricky. I know what you mean, though. The Tigers, they're really rolling at the moment, but I think that this might be the first sort of like official wake-up call for their interim head coach.
The Lions are third. People tend to forget that. They're a very good team. And it's up there as well. So it's up in
Andrew McQualter was who slipped my mind.
I think this game will be competitive, but Brisbane will probably win by 15 points.
Yeah. Some of the other games that should be close. So we're all pretty convinced that Geelong will beat the Swans. This is nearly a coin flip. I can't believe it.
Yeah, I'm going to win handily.
Especially with having Patrick Dangerfield back.
If Dangerfield's back, maybe Sydney will win.
And then our other injuries, other than Jeremy Cameron, we're not really missing anyone. Cam Guthrie still has not played up. Just don't know when he's going to come back. Swans will be fully rested after their week off last week as well against the Eagles. Buddy will be back.
Buddy is a liability these days. I reckon Geelong will win that relatively easy.
Is it weird that the Suns have better odds of beating the Pies than Essendon does of beating Port, even though it's a Suns home game? And a Don's home game.
Yeah, I was looking at that earlier in the week. Why is that game so close as well? Gold Coast Suns, Pies. It's Pies are one goal favorite
because their record at Metricon is very good. The
Suns,
Metricon and Darwin, they play pretty well. Whereas if they travel outside of that area, they don't. So I would love Gold Coast to win this game. This is one. Awesome. That would be amazing. Also, they're trying to make this the best attended Metricon game. I think they're trying to get the highest attendance there ever is the highest attendance there ever is 24,000, and they're hoping for just over that. So that'd be pretty good.
Other than Tuke Miller, who looks like he's still a week away, the Suns are actually pretty much fully healthy as well. They've got a few. I'm not sure. See, they've started playing Mac Andrew a lot more in the last couple of games. I'm not sure he's ready for a team like the Pies, though. So I think that could be a bit of a weakness.
Pies are a better team, but I really hope that the Pies have a bit of an off day and Gold Coast play really well and they win. This is going to be one of those ones where, for the listeners out there, we're actually on a retreat this weekend. to enhance
team
our
building
ideas. And, yeah,
exercise. It's like,
exactly.
the Hawks
Going
go.
in camping.
I'll still be on my phone watching all the games.
Yeah, from like the top of a mountain in the Victorian National Park or something, try and be watching Gold Coast versus Collingwood. So
I think, see, the thing is, for the Suns to win this game, Noah Anderson has to play really well. Ainsworth has to play well. Charlie Ballard has to play well. Max King has to actually make sure he's actually putting the ball through the goals and he's not a complete liability all the time. Lukosius has to play well. Like he is sometimes. You even see last weekend against the Hawks, like the Suns. I mean, I know they put them away in the end, but Max King was missing a bunch of set shots. He was two goals for last weekend. Ben King. Sorry, Ben King.
Yeah. He can be, but he has. I think for the year, he's kicked like almost 40 goals. He's had a decent year. I think he's kind of gone under the radar, but yeah, everyone will have to play their best game. Absolutely, agree.
Jared Witts has been all right. Lockie Weller. There's some good names. David Swallow's playing well at the moment, and Matt Rowell's of course playing really well. Okay, cool. I'm excited about that game where I wasn't before, having talked it out.
Yes.
Ed, how do you think you go against Port Adelaide?
I really don't know because look, Port are absolutely a better team. They play Marvel Stadium better than almost any team in Melbourne does, but
it's at the G.
At the G, it's different. It's going to be, I think, a bit of a wet
Why
night.
the hell is this game at the G?
I have no idea. I reckon we'll get a decent crowd.
Yeah, but it's bullshit. This isn't your.
No, it's not. Yeah, it's a strange one.
Saturday night, and I think the Dogs. Looks like the Dogs play Freo earlier that day.
Yeah, so it's like a scheduling conflict. But yeah, so I reckon we will be competitive. I think Port will probably win by like 20 points or something, but I think we could easily. I reckon 8 or 9 times out of 10 Port wins this game, but I reckon we do have a chance. It's just not a very big one. So I reckon Port will win by like 15, 20 points. Yeah.
Port don't have too many injuries. Looks like they might get Xavier Dersma back, which he's missed most of the season. And Fantasia looks like he might play as well.
We don't either. We don't have very many injuries now. We had lots earlier in the season, but everyone's come back basically. So
other than Will Setterfield, you guys look good.
Yeah. So that's what I mean. Like everyone just played a terrible game last week, and
that was Sam Draper.
No Sam Draper. Yeah, he's a big loss. But I'm hoping that we're competitive. I just want us to like not get thumped, and I don't think we will. So I'm hoping for a very good match. And if the Bombers win, I think the lid would be off. I'd be saying we're going to get the top 4. So
hey, there you go, top 4.
If we beat Port, I'll be like, okay, I feel like I'm in. But yeah,
top 4 would mean that it would be Collingwood, Port Adelaide, Brisbane, or Melbourne would have to drop out.
Okay, so I will preface this as well by saying that I actually did do a ladder predictor the other day. So I was obviously quite bored. And
Ed, I'm looking forward to when you start your job and you've got less time on your hands.
Yes, everything comes in waves. But for now, I just hope they're competitive.
No, that sounds really good. And the last game that I'm really looking at on Sunday, what's the Giants' record like playing at the MCG in Melbourne?
Well, this one's not at the MCG.
Yeah, Traeger Park.
It's in Darwin.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry.
No, it's Alice Springs.
Alice Springs, is it?
Okay, so there's a good chance that the Giants could be competitive against the Dees, who are coming off a loss. Anyone taking the Giants?
I reckon Dees will come back. And they've actually played Alice Springs pretty well the last few times. So I reckon.
Oh, that's right. Cozzy Pickett just loves to destroy people in Alice Springs. Yeah. Destroy teams.
Well, I think they will beat Giants relatively easily. I think.
Still no Clayton Oliver. Still no Tom McDonald.
Yeah, Clayton Oliver's a big loss, but I reckon otherwise they'll be too strong for Giants. I reckon though Hawks are going to beat the Blues. I absolutely reckon. Blues are shit this year, and I'm on board John's blue bagging train. So
My blue bagging. Oh, that would have been a great segment every week.
yeah, blue bagging.
Yeah, well, I'm sort of starting to jump off that train now. I actually think Carlton's probably going to finish. I think it's too late, obviously, but I think that they might actually finish the season fairly strong. I have to admit, I was pretty impressed with their win over the Suns the other weekend. And maybe it's because they haven't played football, so they haven't had a chance to change my mind.
They've still only won one game in the last 4, so you've a week in football is a long time.
That's true.
But they played football podcasting is a long time.
Okay, so can the Blues make the 8 with this run home? They play the Hawks. Is that in Melbourne or Tasmania?
Yeah, it's at the G.
At the G. They go to Perth to play Freo. That's probably going to be an L. They play Port Adelaide at the G. That'll probably be an L. Or actually, is that at Marvel? Because if it's at Port Adelaide's home ground at Marvel, then they're definitely going to lose. They play the Eagles for a second time round, so they get bailed out there. Then they play the Pies, the Saints, the Dees, the Suns, the Giants.
They're not making the finals.
No,
it's a run home.
Well, sucks to suck. So I think that's going to be it for another week. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Another shameless plug. If you had a chance to check out my other show that I'm doing at the moment with a couple of NFL guys on the NFL, I highly recommend it. It's called, Brady's there. Joe Montana's there. Tanya?
John Elway.
John Elway's there. Chatting up with Ed.
John Madden.
Good time. Check it out. It's on RIP. It's on NFL Lab Network. And
nice.
I'm looking forward to seeing you guys this weekend.
Hey.
Let's enjoy the footy ahead.
Treat. Let's not rip each other's throats out. You Geelong and Essendon supporting scum.
All right, we'll catch you next week.
Oh.